Women in Art. Hilma af Klint. With the dawn of the 20th century, the art world was shaken dramatically. New, shockingly modern art movements began to arise, such as Fauvism, Cubism, and Futurism. While many of these movements took on the form of groups of artists who worked under a single style, there were some exceptional cases in which artists pioneered a completely new style on their own. One such artist was the Swedish artist Hilma af Klint. Af Klint was born in 1862 into a well-to-do naval family. She spent a happy childhood growing up on her family's estates and was eventually admitted to the Swedish Royal Academy of Fine Arts. Tragedy struck the family, however, when Hilma af Klint's younger sister Hermina died at only 10 years old. In the wake of this profound loss, af Klint began to search for ways to speak to her sister from beyond the grave, becoming involved in seances, mysticism, and spiritualism. She was particularly interested in the theosophy of Helena Blavatsky, which encompassed contact with the dead as part of its spiritual teachings. These movements not only provided a comforting sense of closeness to the sister she had lost, but also provided an intellectual challenge for this well-educated woman. She would begin to claim to create art under the influence of the spirit world, while at the same time continuing to practice the Christian faith with which she had been raised, resulting in a series of innovative and truly unique works of art. Af Klint would eventually make the decision to stop creating art under spiritualist influence, but nevertheless continued creating art with her own particular vision. Many of af Klint's early works of art were considered conventional for the time in which they were created. One such work was her 1888 painting Sommerlandskap, which means summer landscape in English. Since her childhood, she had had a profound interest in nature and the natural sciences, and this work of art seems to reflect her childhood world. In it, we can see a peaceful landscape. The sky is filled with light, soft clouds, and the sun sets in the distance, leaving the sky arrayed in pinks, yellows, and grays. Tall plants reach towards the sky on either side of the small country path that splits the painting in two. A man, dwarfed by the endless sky above, stops to admire the scene. In this way, the painting seems to be a reflection on the innocence and beauty of summertime. Perhaps on a symbolic level, the painting represents childhood itself and how these periods of time must come to an end. Sadly, this painting is in a private collection and cannot be seen by the public. Af Klint's spiritualist paintings, however, were radically different in imagery and tone from her earlier works. Many of these paintings were abstract or semi-abstract, the first of this kind created in Europe. One such example is her painting Primordial Chaos No. 12, Group 1, which she claimed to have created at the behest of the spirit world between 1906 and 1907. This painting seems to make little sense, comprising of random words, letters, and shapes. However, each piece of imagery had a deep meaning for the artist. For instance, in her art, the letter U signifies the spirit, and the letter W signifies matter. The cross carries Christian connotations. Furthermore, the word medeltiden means Middle Ages in Swedish, and the word nutiden means present. Given these pieces of information, the imagery of the U and the W starting at separate spaces on the canvas, converging at the cross, and then going separate ways again, seemed to suggest that af Klint believed matter and spirit were reborn through the salvation the cross symbolizes for many Christians around the world. This idea is underlined by the fact that the golden cross on top of the sphere is crowned with a W, seemingly symbolizing a new, brilliant kind of spirit. The words Middle Ages and present at the bottom seem to suggest that this rebirth has remained true throughout the ages. This work of art is the property of the Hilma af Klint Foundation in Stockholm, Sweden. Af Klint was convinced to cease creating works of art under spiritual influence by the noted philosopher Rudolf Steiner. Nevertheless, her works of art continued to be both innovative and rife with meaning. One such work was Klint's watercolor painting A Map of Great Britain, which was completed in 1932. The title seems to allude to her family of origin, many of whom were naval cartographers. Although the title may seem ironic, the subject of the work is in fact quite serious. Here, we can see godlike figures blowing fire and smoke onto the United Kingdom. While Klint refrained from using coded letters, numbers, and symbols she used in her earlier work in this painting, the wide variety of bright colors and thick, vibrant lines she uses add a feeling of intensity to the work of art. The deeper meaning here seems to be that the United Kingdom will soon be attacked by fire from the air. Although painted before the start of the Second World War, the painting indicates that Klint sensed its coming and the horrors that the United Kingdom would suffer. Although generally perceived as a retiring, reclusive artist, clearly Klint was also a woman keenly aware of world politics and events. This work of art is also the property of the Hilma af Klint Foundation. Hilma af Klint almost never displayed her innovative, semi-abstract works during her lifetime. In her will, she even decreed that she did not want her works of art to be shown until 20 years after her death. Even though the world was not allowed to see her works until long after her death, her art is greatly appreciated among modern audiences. Today, her works of art continue to create a sense of wonder and to convey a profound meaning.